Right. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in His sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect tonight's session. Amen. All right. Hola, mi nombre es Kofi. ¿Cómo está? Bonjour, je m'appelle Kofi. Ça va? Ni hao, namaste. Osayana Kitawiya. Ohio, I see you. Manut, Mogwan, Kamsamida, Aloha, Ciao, Onson, Privet, Habarigani, Aquaba, Madase, Etese, Jumbo, Bibini Kofi, Ninafra Kokatan the Wewe, Boker To, Boker Tav, I'm sorry, Lab Tav, greetings. Barakala Chami Haba, Anai Kovai, Kohelet and Servants of Christ, Mashallah. Hello, everybody. Peace. I am Pastor Kofi, Pastor Servants of Christ, where we are always changing lives one mind at a time, being the voice of the voices and speaking the unspoken. Thank you for being on with us. We appreciate you. We're trying to wrap up and finish up our three-part series, a little quick Q&A session that we were doing specifically for the women at SOC. We were supposed to do it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but because of just a lot of different moving parts and things going on, I was not able to be in position on yesterday, so we moved it to today. We sent a invite out to everyone, so prayerfully everybody got the invite. Once again, these are recorded, so we'll make sure that we have these recordings available for everyone. And for our sisters, we'll do this until close to the top of the hour, and then after that, we're gonna switch on over to our live session on Kofi_42, in the same place here on #FindKofi. But welcome to everybody. Thank you for being on. Very much so appreciate you all. Thank you for spending some time with us again. So we should have the live session, and y'all willing, we will do a grafting session at 9 p.m. New York time on Zoom only. So we'll try to have that together for everybody. For those that are joining, those that are new, those who would like to participate, and all that great stuff, we thank you in advance for doing so. So we appreciate you, and we honor you, and hopefully all is well with everyone. Excited to be in front of you one more again. And yeah, so just in case, once again, we don't have as many persons on here because it's a little early for us in our live session, but we're trying to give the opportunity for our sisters to come on if they would like to, if they feel led to come on and ask some questions, and to be able to come from a cultural perspective, biblical perspective, with some answers as far as belief system and what the word says, and different things. So that's what we are gearing towards tonight. If we don't have any questions or enough questions to get us through the hour, feel free to ask other ones, but it is trying to focus on our sisters, so I will try somehow, in some way, to, even no matter what the questions are, to try and get it back to our sisters. So we will get ready to do our Bible pledge in just a little bit. So if you're able to reverence Yahweh's word, however you're able to, and say the Bible pledge with us, repeat it after me, feel free to. As we're getting ready to do that, how's everybody doing? How you doing, Dominique? Sister Deborah, Avan Pa, Big Brother Thomas, Fred, and anybody and everybody, Line Dyer, and everybody who's watching later on, watching live. Whatever the case might be, we are thankful and grateful to have every single one of you on. So we're going to get ready to start. And once again, Tada, Masha Pache, thank you for being on with us. We are going to get ready to go. So if there are any questions, we're going to try and give the sisters a chance to ask questions first. If you don't have any questions after that, or we don't get any questions, because it is kind of a makeup and early, and some persons might be using this for different things, even though we don't necessarily celebrate Thanksgiving. That being said, persons might be doing different things or whatever, and so it'll be recorded. And we do have a plethora of things I guess we could talk about that come up and pop up that we could talk about in defending our sisters and talking about different things. But we appreciate you in advance. So thank you, everybody. Let's say shalom. We already did. How you doing, Sister Taylor? How you doing, Seven Moonlight? Much love. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. I apologize. Or Michelle. I am blessed, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And you can I'll just say our Bible pledge real quick. The Bible pledge goes as follows. How you doing, Aaron? How you doing, Tamsy? Bible pledge goes as follows. This is my Bible. This is my sword. This will I trust. for Yeshua is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard, for this is my Bible, and this is Yah's word. Hashem Yechavach, Aman. When you have Hashem, his name is authority. Let it be done unto us. You may be seated or go back to what you were doing in the presence of the Most High. So once again, we'll give an opportunity to start. If there's any questions that you may have, we'll try to let those flow. And if not, then I have some stuff that I guess we can start speaking on. But once again, for the sisters, or even if there are brothers that have questions, once again, just know we're going to focus it towards the sisters. But if there's questions, I'll go ahead and give a second for those to start. And if there are none, then I'll just start speaking on something, I guess. And while we're waiting, hopefully everybody's being safe. Yeah, it's cold. I don't know. Might be 50s, possibly 40s. Pretty warm jacket. And I was out in the cold. Well, not in the cold. I was Solomon and I were out playing soccer. And we actually did some weightlifting. And then came back in, we're in the pool. So I'm kind of cool as is. So it's not affecting me. But anyway, so today's Q&A, specifically for the sisters, once again, before we jump over to the actual live session later on at 8 p.m. New York time. So once again, real quick, are there any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll just kind of jump in with some things that I know we've been seeing and hearing, and we'll start from there. Oh, oops. Clean hands. Yeah, actually, there's a fire pit off to the side too, so that's kind of helping, I guess, a little bit. I'm not really close to it, but it's right over to the side. Got a nice little fire going over there, so we do have that going. I look great the way that I am. Thank you so much. Is that your troll? Is that the best you got? Come on. Is that the best you got? That's it? Oh, well, bless your heart. Right, for those who know what bless your heart means. Hey, how you doing? So, okay, so since we didn't have any on here, right, you're not an American, I don't care. Just stoke the fire. Alrighty. So we'll start here. I know the last couple nights that we did it on Monday and Tuesday, we had questions about, women allowed to preach, all those different things. How you doing, Brother Kayvon? We've had different questions as far as things. I want to talk about some of the things as far as protection, unless we have obviously some questions that pop up, right? And thank you, I appreciate you. I use many different things. Shampoo, not necessarily a specific one, but put stuff in our hair. I put many things in my hair, from fruit to, to like literally lemon, squeeze lemons in and stuff like that, or whatever. But as far as Q&A for our sisters specifically, how you doing, Mom? Always. How you doing, Sam? Thanks for being part of the community. Women being protected. And I'm sorry, I'm assuming, it looks like everybody should be able to hear me fine, but mic check, everybody can hear me? Yes, no, maybe so? You can hear and see me all right? Should be, I'm right next to the light, so should be able to see me, but hopefully everybody can hear me all right. I know they were saying earlier that some couldn't hear me as well, but hopefully you can. That being said, so when we have sisters and sisters say that they need to be protected, we'll start there. And once again, sisters, this is a little brief Q&A for you all if you'd like to. Thank you so much. So, wherever you want to take it. And once again, if I can just say this, I am well aware that I am not a female. I am not a woman. I don't identify as a woman. But I will say that as far as our culture, as far as our cultural beliefs, as far as respect for women, as far as our diaspora, making sure that we know that, women must be respected, as far as the title of wife being held true, and as far as listening to my wife, listening to great women like my mother and mother-in-law, many sisters on here who come on, um, and have taught me a lot. I do know how to listen. I do know how to research. I do know how to apply things, and I do know how to. I have learned. I'm not always the greatest at it because I'm learning like everybody else is. However, it is a big deal in my life to listen to what our sisters tell us, right? So, that being said, and how you doing, Quiet One? That being said, women when they talk about they need protection. So, if you've never heard of it before, there's something you can look up called 6 basic human needs. You'll find things in there, like love and a feeling of accomplishment, right? And you'll see that there's 4 others, 2 which are very important for men, right? As far as for men, the 2 basic human needs that you'll usually hear men say the most is that they need respect, and sometimes they'll say it like this: I don't feel heard, but that's basically for them saying that they don't feel respected, and that's usually number 1. Number 2 for brothers, for men, is usually going to be that if we just be honest, physical touch or sex for men. Women, the 2 basic human needs that they're going to operate out of mostly, and that they prefer to have and that they need is usually security and affection. All right, how you doing? I'm Yakana. Right, security and affection. So you'll hear those quite often from the sisters. Security and affection. Security, yes, can equate. Most of the time, we only go when we focus on money, right? Which is important, but we forget that security is way more than just money, right? Security. And once again, this is cultural. If we're talking about even the persons who wrote the Bible, and it's not a Western sensibility, although we've kind of taken it to make it a Western sensibility, to make it so-called Christian or whatever, but it's not a Western sensibility. The persons who wrote the Bible were not of the West, right? If you're talking about the persons who actually wrote it, whether you're talking about them being known as Israel, Yahadasha al Negro, the persons who originally wrote it in the context that they wrote it in and receiving it from the Most High, they are thinking of these things differently. So a lot of things that have even become extremely misogynistic, and we have conversations with them, that's not the prism we should be looking through, because the Bible, once again, was written in Avda, or what we call today Hebrew, some call Paleo-Hebrew, by a specific people, right? A family of believers who believe specific things. And even if you look at men such as Jacob, right? When Jacob is sent to find a wife by Rebecca and Isaac, he's literally sent to Padan Aram, which is where you get persons talking about Aramaic and stuff, but actually they would have been the ancient Syrian persons, those Syrian persons holding similar values in marriage as Abraham and those who come out of Abraham hold as far as marriage, especially going through not the lineage of Ishmael, but actually going through the lineage of Isaac, Jacob becoming Israel, Judah, etc., 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 right? So when we talk about what women need, a lot of times the women's 2 basic, or out of the 6, if you follow that 6 basic human needs, you'll see that number 1 for sisters is usually they're going to say that they want security, and number 2 is going to be affection, right? And one of the things that when our sisters are telling us, yeah, we don't feel protected, or we don't feel loved, or we need more help, especially the so-called, African American woman, or black woman, or woman in America, etc., woman in the West, a lot of times because of the red pill rhetoric, and because, once again, a lot of misogynistic tendencies, we usually will have persons who look at things from the perspective, and how you doing, Prince, and I'll see if I can get to that, but right now the Q&A is for the sisters, so today's probably not going to be for that, just not trying to disregard your question, but that's the focus for today. Have heard about them, the book of Thomas is actually not one that's qualified, but if we can get to that, we'll try to get to that. But welcome, thank you for being on. So in what we're talking about today, and women not feeling secure, a lot of times what happens is we go to a worldly place. Here's another one that you guys have probably heard about: The Five Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, assistant pastor, I think, still in North Carolina. I forget the congregation. And he wrote a book years ago, decades ago, that's been very popular, and there's many different versions of it now that he's kind of written. He's written it for marriage, he's written it for children, he's written it for work relationships, etc. But there's there's 5 love languages, and the love languages go as follows: words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And you'll even see in that a lot of times the term gift is something that persons run with, and they take a lot, they pull from a lot of different places, and they literally, mess those things up, because they'll say, for example, women want stuff, so women are so-called gold diggers, right? But a lot of persons don't know if somebody has a gift, let's say their love language is gifts. For example, my wife is a herbalist, right? So as a herbalist, and as somebody who is a biologist, chemist, makes tinctures, makes medicines, things of that nature. If I were to see a rose on the side of the street, or if I were to remember to get if I saw some mullein, or if I saw, wheatgrass, if I saw some, things of different things, and I picked those things for her and gave it to her, that would be something that would be extremely awesome to her, for her love language, for what she does. But somebody would say, oh, well, you're saying a woman wants gifts, well, that's expensive. But learn the heart of a woman. Yes, a woman deserves, first of all, our women deserve security. I don't know why that's like such a big deal. If we're teaching that a woman should only love a man depending on how much money he has, okay, we got a problem if that's the only qualification. But let us not forget scriptures that say things such as, a man who doesn't take care of his family is less than an infidel, right? And we love to talk about, I'm the man, and blah, 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 beat our chest. Well, if that's who you are, make sure that you also recognize that then that comes with the responsibility of making sure she feels secure, right? Husbands love their wives as Yahshua loved the assembly and gave himself for her and cleansed her by the word of the word. It's your responsibility to present her unto yourself the way that Christ presents us unto himself, right? She's not supposed to submit. Remember the word, it's called submission. It's not submission. It's not even subwomanship, but we're focusing on the sisters tonight, right? So it's not submission, it's submission. That means that the sister is your wife, right? Qualified as a wife, supposed to be trained since birth. Another thing that we're missing, right, on both sides. But if we did this righteously, right, a wife, he who finds a wife. So she's not a wife once you marry her. You don't wife her. She is a wife, right? And she should be qualified as one, and we should be training her, protecting her, teaching her, just like husbands should be taught from birth. That's what we're supposed to do. So when you find a wife, right, she is supposed to be one who's worthy of you doing that. And she's not supposed to submit to the man. She's supposed to submit to his mission. He is in a position to where if it's like Paul said, follow me as I follow, right? Follow Mashiach, Christ, right? Follow me as I follow our Messiah. So if I follow Christ and I do so correctly, my mission is to make sure I take care of her, even if necessary, to the point of death. If I do those things, then she submits to that mission and therefore loves me and honors me and helps to multiply what I do, because we both work together. And as we said, I believe it was Tuesday night, when you look at it, the greatest individual, right, as far as the kingdom, we're not talking about common sense, we're talking about kingdom sense. I'm not going to treat you like commoners. If we're talking about the kingdom, in the kingdom, the greatest individual is two who have become one. Even if you're not married to a physical man, all of us are supposed to be married to the Most High. So the greatest individual is actually two that have learned to become one, right? This is actually the context. So when I hear a lot of persons run off with so many different things, usually things we've heard through other persons and things like that about what marriage is, the reality is that marriage, for many persons, and now getting back to our sisters and protecting them, is not coming through the lens of the kingdom. It's coming through the lens of whatever, socioeconomics, are going on. We're looking at videos about all women are trash, and women don't need men, and men don't need women, and who cares if you actually get married? And now a lot of brothers trying to figure out how to use the Bible and manipulate it to figure out how many wives they can have and all this different stuff. And the reality is most of us are not disciplined enough to love one, which is what we're supposed to do anyways. But I'm just saying, most of us are not even disciplined enough to love one, but we're trying to tell all these sisters nowadays, you're hearing all these brothers talk about how they're supposed to have so many different wives. And you got to learn how to be faithful to your wife, to a wife. Find he who finds a wife, one wife. Even if you're going to be a kohelet or a pastor, right? Over an assembly, right? Kohelet if you're going to be over an assembly, you have to get to a position of what? Of realizing that you should be husband of one wife. That's the first, well, that's the first qualification. First qualification, if you desire the office of a pastor, you was first yourself as a husband, right? Qualified as a husband already, be blameless. Be somebody who follows the word and somebody that we can't look at your life and be like, you all over the place. Then secondly, before you can lead the flock, hey, can you be a husband to one wife? Can you honor her? Can you do with her what the Most High does for us? Because if you can do for her what the Most High does for us, all you're doing is what you do for her, and now we can start multiplying. And by the way, he who finds a wife, especially, I can tell you this as an assembly leader, right? I can tell you definitely, I'm not able to do what I do, regardless of around the world, at home, at cities we go to, etc. I can't do what I do unless my wife and I are like this. So if you don't get home right and your wife doesn't feel secure at home, you're going to have a tough time talking about leading other persons. And yet we have so many persons that can't get the relationship with their wife correct, right? And I know we actually believe that women can preach and stuff too, but we're focusing on women, right? So there's so many brothers out there who want to lead everybody else and can't protect the wife, but love to be able to tell women what to do and love to be able to tell everybody what to do. But if you can't take care of home, you're not ready. Just being honest. I don't care what your calling is. If you're not ready to take care of home, you have a tough time taking care of others. And how you doing, is it Katie Beach? Thanks for being part of the community. ¿Cómo está mi hermana Share? Gracias por tu presencia. All right, thank you for the repost. Thank you for the shares. Oh, you on that? Okay, well, thank you. How you doing, all business? Hello, Philip. Do better. Appreciate you. Thank you, Miles. How you doing, Mama? It's your whatever. You got to do better. How you doing, Minister Raj? And I think I saw Double OG, Triple OG. Shalom. How you doing, Big Brother Charles? Yeah. So and once again, it is Q&A night for the sisters. We're gonna do this until top of the hour, and then we're gonna shift over to Kofi_42 and stay here, but just repeat, start a new live session for everybody else coming in for our normal live at 8 p.m. New York time. How you doing, Brother Cole? Thank y'all for the repost. So yeah, so if there's questions from the sisters, or if there are questions on stuff for, helping our sisters or dealing with our sisters, so to speak, feel free to let them be known in the chat. But yeah, so when we talk about protection, right, and a lot of women who say they don't feel protected, we have to get back to a place of first even honoring and comprehending the necessity of a wife. And recall, once again, when you hear this term wife, or Aisha, or Isha, as you might say in modern Hebrew, if you speak modern Hebrew, or that dialect, but the Aisha, the wife, right, is one who is already qualified in our culture. So we don't really have a mindset, biblically speaking. There really is no mindset for what would we say? There really is not a mindset of a single person in the kingdom. Single comes from a dating mindset. And that's also one of the reasons we don't protect our sisters, is because we actually have a belief system that says that they are single or singled out simply because they don't have a husband or somebody they're dating. But in the kingdom, in the Bible, you'll discover that there's no such thing as dating. Right? If you actually read your Bible, you'll discover very quickly there's no such thing as dating. Matter of fact, if you were to go into a store and you saw a date on anything, you would probably not buy it. Why? Because if it's dated, you would buy it, but you would date it. If you walked into a store and you saw something dated, something with a date on it, you would buy it, but you would buy it realizing that it's going to expire. And a lot of persons don't recognize when you're dating, When you date something, you're looking at its expiration. But marriage is not supposed to expire. Mm. So it gets tough to talk about this with many persons, because when we talk about protecting our women, a lot of persons look at the expiration. But see, if we're training our daughters from birth to be wives, that means that we're protecting them as wives from birth. And then once they get married, even if they are not our wives, we recognize the importance of them. And even if they are single by the world standards, but they are wives of the Most High, we understand their relevance in that. And if they are our wife, that we comprehend the relevance of even that. Hey, how you doing, Sister Casey? All right, thank y'all for the love. You know, so yeah, they out, babe. Yeah, as always, and love you. Thanks for being on. My wife is on the Honorable Mind. As always, check her out on TikTok, YouTube, her website, and Pinterest at Bloom and Flourish. Not A-N-D, the letter N, Bloom and Flourish. She is a healer, herbalist, chemist, and biologist by degree. So, it's important that we don't even recognize. So when you talk about protection of a wife, most persons are not even going to get to a place of protection of the wife, because a lot of persons don't even realize not just the relevance of a wife, but you and your wife, there is no such thing as you guys not being together. And how you doing, Sister Dawn? How you doing, Sister Tamika? So it's hard for the world to talk about protection of a wife, because, right, like, let's do it like this. It's hard for the world to talk about protection of a woman, because according to the world, if we just be honest, what's the definition of a woman? Right? We don't even, we have arguments over who a woman is. We have argument over what a man is. We have arguments over what a marriage is. And we're not allowed, they don't want us to teach our children about who the Most High is. They don't want us to teach our children about, race relations and stuff like that. They don't want us to tell our children what marriage is culturally. They don't want to tell us to tell our children about worship. Yet they would like for your children, to tell you what they are sexually and physically before they even know how to open a book for themselves. So protection and affection, right? Or security, right? And affection, protection and affection are the number one and number two need of a wife. Just having an argument over the definition of a woman seems like the ultimate in patriarchy and subjugating women. Yeah, definitely. And let us be careful, because yes, the world might have argument over does being a female allow you to be a woman. We have to be careful, because those of us who say we're followers of the way, a lot of persons argue whether a woman is allowed to speak. Right? Like, it runs deep. How you doing, Big Bad? Well, a lot of persons argue whether a woman is allowed to preach the word, although women preached. A lot of persons say a woman shouldn't be able to judge, but we had women that were judges. You see, a lot of persons say a woman shouldn't be able to prophesy, but we had women that were prophets. And the Bible says that there comes a time that all women will prophesy, or that women will begin to prophesy and men will begin to pray. It's tough when you keep changing definitions, not just only definitions that the world is arguing about as far as Republican versus Democrat for votes, right? And what makes an actual male and a female. I'm talking about just, what does the Bible say specifically about our sisters? How do you protect, see, watch this. How does one protect a wife or a woman, our sisters, our mothers, etc., when we don't know the status, or not even, status, we don't know what the position is of woman, the genetic makeup of woman. We don't know what makes her different, and therefore when we become one with her, the things that she must do. See, your body is one. And as much as you might not think about it, there's never been a time where your eye has been separate from your toe. You don't believe me? Stub your toe and watch what your eyes do. If you don't believe me, see something that you like and watch what your feet do. Right? That's oneness. Your whole body is one. For some of you, like me, right, even though I am piano player I can do a little bit of it, but I don't really have as much independence. But try to move your ring finger and see if your pinky finger doesn't move with it. For most of us, that's they're one. Your body is one. And so you should recognize what parts of the body do. The whole body speaks and the whole body thinks. That's why if you see something and you say, oh man, you know what, I'm not, or if somebody says something, you might say, I'm not seeing it like that. Or somebody says something, you might say, oh, I got a gut feeling. Or somebody says something, you say, oh, I'm not really walking in that right now. That's your feet, right? Somebody says something, you go, your shoulders speak for you. Like somebody says something, you go, ooh, something about that just doesn't smell. It doesn't pass the smell test. Your whole body thinks together as one. And there's different parts of the body that when it's time to move, they step up and think. And the body as one says, yes, we recognize in order for us to function all together, everything has to flow in that order. Everything's going to have to flow in that order. Right? Well, that's fine. You don't have to hear any of it. Those who have ears to hear will hear. Right? Many persons don't want to hear that we're supposed to move together as one. And that's why many persons are not trying to, there you go. Another saying. Somebody said, can you feel me? You feel me? Are they, what they're saying is, my whole body is with this. You might not feel it, but I feel this, right? You're speaking through senses, and not even just speaking through them, you actually are feeling this and thinking this in different ways. Yes, it's a saying, right? When somebody says, I feel great, that's a saying too. If somebody gets hurt and they say, ow, that hurts, that's a saying as well. I mean, I'm not going to argue over trivial etymology stances tonight, right? that really hasn't done anything. Ad hominem doesn't really mean much in apologetics, right? How you doing, Bowl Classic? So a lot of persons are not in a position where we're talking about that, and you're talking about being one with somebody, and yet you're not even worried about how the other person completes you. Once again, there's no such thing as dating in the Bible. Dating is a completely different context. So when you're dating, see, watch this. If you're dating somebody, you'll open the door, you'll do this, but in dating, there's no guarantee that you guys are going to be going on a second date. So why would you protect that person as if their life depended on it? Matter of fact, watch this. Why would you protect somebody as if your life depends on it? Because in our culture, right, I'm willing, if it calls for it. I'm not saying just lay your life down for nothing, but if it calls for it, yes, I am willing to lay down I am willing to lay down my life for my wife. Right? No man has ever hated his own flesh. So if I love myself, I should love her. If I would protect myself, I should protect her. If there's something that I see out of pocket that if it was happening to me, I would make sure that I would do something to protect myself, then I should move to protect her. And even if she's not seeing it or whatever, I would at least have common decency and say, hey, I'm just telling you, like, you shouldn't do that. Now, after that, she's a grown woman and she can do whatever she likes. But we work together. I say this all the time. We work well together, not because we're the same. We work well together because we are different. And we as two different persons have decided to use those differences together. That's what being one actually is. Right? Like, being one is not this mysterious thing, right? Or maybe it's a mystery for some, but we speak concerning, Yahashua Adeshaim, right? Our Messiah in the assembly. So it's not as mysterious for those of us who are kingdom minded, right? We are two persons who have decided to work together as one. Therefore, we are one. And so if there's things that are within our oneness that are for her part of the body, then I capitulate. See, here's something for you. Brothers, I know you don't like this term, even though we're supposed to, according to Ephesians 5:21, submit ourselves one to another. So before you talk about wives, submit yourself to your own husbands, it says right before that, literally the verse before it, submit yourselves one to another as unto Adon, as unto the Lord. If you can't submit, unto him and therefore submit to each other, then all the other stuff you're talking doesn't even matter, right? That being said, I know brothers don't like this, but many of you can never protect because you can't submit. And that's why a lot of our sisters feel the way that it is. See, I don't think you guys catch it. If you truly protected her, it's because you I'm put it like this. Um, yes, as a protector, I don't know. I'm sisters. I'm not trying to, belittle you. I promise. I just don't have really much to use as an example around me, right? But let's say these are keys to a car. Okay. Um, if I don't want the car to get hit or whatever, yes, I have the keys and I would go to the car and to protect, I protect the car. But do you not realize that in order to even drive the car, to open it, do whatever, do you not have to submit to what I protect? Right? I know persons don't, this might sound weird to some, but I'm talking kingdom sense tonight, not common sense. How you doing, Alice? So I submit to what I protect. If I try to get in the car and I don't submit to the fact that if I don't know the car well enough to know, put the key in, right? Turn it. Some cars put the key in or have the key inside. Push and hit the brake at the same time, right? If I don't have enough submission to it, if I don't have enough respect for it, then I'm not really going to be able to protect the car, let alone those inside of it. If I am going somewhere and the speed limit is 30 miles per hour going around an extreme curve, and I decide, you know what? I know the car can't go but 30 miles per hour around the turn, but I'm still going to not worry about it. I'm going to go outside of what its design and capabilities are, and I'm going to push it at 70. Then at some point I got to realize not only is there a possibility of the car flipping, I will probably at some point go straight and not be able, and just go off of a cliff or something. You said you submit to nothing but God and Jesus, and the Masons are an Illuminati or Eastern Stars are not either God or Jesus. Okay, well, I submit to Elohim, who is different than God, and I submit to Yahshua instead of half man, half Zeus. That being said, if that's the thought process to be like, therefore I won't submit to a husband or I won't submit to a wife, then you don't submit to the Most High, seeing how the Most High says in Ephesians 5:21, submit yourselves one to another. If you're God. Now, once again, many persons don't know that the reason why you guys have heard terms like God is good all the time and all the time God is good is because in Germanic language, Gallic language, God and good are the same word, and God means you can worship whatever you want. Hence why Elohim is different than God. But see, somebody else want to catch that. I don't submit. Persons do this all the time. I don't submit to any man. I don't submit to this. Okay, well, your Christ says, submit yourselves one to another. What you gonna do with that? Hey, True Game, have you ever seen Air before? Once again, if that's what you're doing, I'm speaking on women tonight and protecting them. And see, many persons who don't want to protect women will even try to do that. But that's why, once again, sisters tell you they don't feel protected. They literally tell you they don't feel protected. We're doing something talking about how they say they don't feel protected. And what are you trying to do? Try to do your best to make sure that we stay off of track of talking about protection of women, because you don't care about anybody, let alone women. And most of y'all cats don't realize that's, see, once again, you don't even, at least I don't know, because some of y'all cats is raised different. Y'all be talking about I'm built different. Some of y'all raised different. You can't respect a woman, you don't respect your mother. You in a whole, I know you came here thinking you're trolling and everything, your trolling capabilities was whatever, or your apologetic capabilities. I told you before, if you don't know what ad hominem is, I already told you what that means. Ad hominem ain't get you nowhere. And therefore, if you're trying to hit straw man and gaslight and all that, you got to figure out ad hominem. Right now, it looks like you got Dunning-Kruger effect. If you don't know what that is, look that up and then just do a little better, right? But you see what I'm saying? We're going to have a cultural divide because many persons are not trying to actually show genuine love. How you doing, Sister Angela? A lot of persons are really not trying to show genuine love one to another. They don't really care. A lot of persons don't care about basic humanity. I'm going to come on your live session and I'm going to tell you how I'm right about everything. I don't know you. And somebody might say, well, you're on social media. We don't know you. Here's the problem with what you're doing. Then scroll or watch this. There's a whole bunch of persons on here. See, for us, it's not just virtual, it's reality. I know the numbers are low and stuff right now because we're doing something real quick before our live session, but I'm here to tell you something that you might not know. You know, we reach persons worldwide. We're growing and we're growing as a community, as a nation. We help each other. We help build business. We love each other. This is not just virtual, it's reality. For many of you guys, you know, you could care less about your next door neighbor. We're trying to help persons, you know, have better lives. And so for those of you who don't really care about bettering yourself or the betterment of others, you come on and you troll. But this is why, once again, a lot of our sisters tell you they don't feel protected, because when somebody's literally up here saying, how can we protect our sisters, you're busy trying to squash it. You're right. Your sophistication that you swear that you have is that of a caveman. You'd rather beat down those who are talking about protecting women than actually be part of a genuine conversation. So we know what time it is, you know. So, you know, it's really difficult for our sisters, and that's why I say I know I'm not a woman. I know I'm not a woman. I don't pretend to be, right? I don't identify as one. Never would do that, and never that, because that's disrespectful to our sisters too, right? It is. You know, and that, by the way, can we just throw a little bit of that in here for tonight? It's so crazy, it's so wild that persons have tried to make us feel bad or try to tell us we're insecure, or even tell us, you know, now the new thing is, you know, we're only saying that trans women aren't women and stuff like that because we're attracted to them and we don't want to admit it. I mean, the craziness that's out. They would be the first person, though, to tell you that you shouldn't speak on what they identify as. Meanwhile, our sisters are telling you straight up that Yah made me like this. I identify with what the Creator made me. I didn't have to go to man to tell him to change what I already am. You know, that in and of itself shows the wild and stuff. And here's the wild part, because I don't know if we would call this an equivalency to Sambo or not, right? Hey, how you doing? That's, you know, is it Brigantia? You got to have more than trash comments to be able to be worth the time. So when you see what I'm saying? Like, it's wild that I don't know if this is like an equivalency to a Sambo or like a coon or a traitor to the trader or whatever you want to call it, but it's wild that there's women who want to make sure that men can fight women in rings. You know, it's wild that it's women that are saying that we should give the respect to trans women that we give to women when real women are just disrespected, and now we're saying move to the side. You know, that echoes so much racism, white supremacy. It's crazy. Yeah, I don't define a woman. The Creator does. You got to be better. Even if you don't agree with the Creator, apologetically, you got to be sound. You don't know what you're talking about. If that's your argument, and I literally have come on here and said, and by the way, you're late, so let me help anybody with this. I literally said I'm not a woman, and what I said earlier too, either you weren't listening or you just came on for a few seconds spitting vitriol that you're not even ready to talk about. That being said, let me help you with something. You ready? I have a wife. I have a mother, right? I have a sister. I have daughters. I have women that are part of the organization I'm part of. I've worked with persons, and I have done something that unfortunately it seems like you don't have the ability to do, which I've learned not only to listen, but to hear, to shema, to be able to hear what sisters are saying, and therefore actually hear their position, empathize. Even if I disagree, to empathize and be able to do what you should learn how to do in debate, which is you have to learn how to debate the other side as well. So even if I don't agree with what a woman's saying, I should at least hear what she's saying to be able to hear her side enough to where before I put an opinion together, which I don't like to opine, I like to use contextual facts that reveal truth. That being said, even if I'm going to put an opinion forth, should it not be based off of a holistic point of view rather than one side? So yes, when I speak about what our sisters are saying and try to protect them as far as what they're saying they need protection from persons such as yourself who would try to shut me down because I'm literally repeating what it is that our sisters are telling me. Hey, we wish that persons would speak up on our behalf, and not only speak up, but maybe start doing something and teaching others how to make sure that they protect, since many protectors out there ain't worth the many of them who say that they're the greatest protectors ain't worth the title of protection. I'll say, or protector, I'll say that. Then maybe persons such as yourself, no offense to you, but take all offense when you like, persons such as yourself who don't care enough to actually hear what women are saying, whether it's me being the vessel or women being the vessel, maybe persons like you should just shut up. Right. And also an empathetic protector of women. So I'm literally like, hey, you know, women are saying this. This is saying, my wife says, my sister says, the sisters say, you know, women in general say, black women say, so-called black women say, Negro women say, so-called white women say, this and that or whatever. And somebody's response is, well, since you're not a woman, you just said you should just you have no right. When I literally just said I'm really tonight an echo chamber. And if you are a woman, see, this is once again when I say it's really weird. Now I was talking about the trans thing, but I'll say this: there are other women who are saying this. Even if you are a woman, I don't know if you're a woman or a man. I don't really care. Should we not present what they're saying, or should I talk about everything else and then not talk about their experience? And as somebody who supposedly has all this power, right? Should I not make it a point to use some of this power that men have, or that somebody who's on social media has, or whatever the case is, and be like, hey, everybody listen up. Our sisters are saying thus and such. Maybe we should hear them. This is why, even so, for example, even though I disagree with the whole thing that was popular, like, you know, a few months ago, you know, that women were talking about they'd rather be with a bear in the wilderness. They feel safer with a bear than they do with a man, right? Although that's crazy work, as far as I'm concerned. I'm empathetic enough to hear, right? Right? How you doing? Hola. ¿Cómo está? I'm empathetic enough to at least say I can hear why somebody would say that. Even if I say I think that's a really crazy take, I can at least hear the take and hear why they're saying it, and if they're saying it's, hear the undertones, right? I can hear the things that are going on there, where they're talking about systemic oppression as far as, you know, patriarchy and stuff, and I can hear, okay, even if I think it's a crazy example, I get there saying that they feel so unprotected that they'd rather take their chances with a bear. I still think it's crazy because the bear gonna rip you up, and if it doesn't rip you up, the chances you're taking around a bear is wild. That being right, because you know, or the bear's not gonna protect you even if something went down, let alone if the bear's hungry, especially if it's whatever. But that being said, I can at least empathize enough to hear the position and say, hey, let me use what I have, let me use my platform to be able to speak on behalf of other persons. You said I'm in my feminine energy. If that's what you need to call it. But one thing that you don't comprehend is that masculine men protect women. So if me being a protector is feminine to you, then hey, I'm as feminine as it gets. You said you keep telling people you have to hear the truth and lies to properly address it. Yeah, you got feminine energy because you would defend women. Get out of here. Get all the way out of here with that. That's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. The ad hominem coming off you is crazy. The ad hominem is crazy. You don't even know what that is. Look it up. You said maybe you do understand because you are a woman. All you were saying is that you can differentiate a man and a woman. You're not debating. Okay. I apologize, quiet one. I'm not sure which part that you said that I was going off on you in particular. We get a whole bunch of persons on different platforms talking at the same time, so it's not just only this platform as well. But I'm not sure if I was coming at you specifically. If I came at you wrong or if I misunderstood what you were saying, then that's my apologies. But there's a lot of stuff coming up, and I'm talking to a lot of different persons. That being said, I appreciate you. If that's what you were saying, I don't really recall, just being honest. You said masculine men protect what belongs to them in their society. You're using broad terms. No. In my society, in my culture, in my belief system, it is my responsibility, right, to protect my wife. Not because she's my belonging, even though you could say we belong to one another in a sense, but not because she's my belonging, but because I love her as I love myself. That's why I protect my wife. You're painted with a broad brush. I don't love my car. I protect my car, sure, but my car, if something happens to it, oh well, right? My wife is different. My wife and I are one, and I protect her as I would protect myself, even more so because I would give up my life if necessary to protect her. Amen. That's exciting, Monica. Praise Yah, right? So you got it twisted. See, you're painted with a broad. No, no, no. Look, if y'all think that this me speaking on stuff is feminine energy, like I said, then that's why a lot of y'all see. Watch this. We got to get ready to close, and move to the next thing, to our regular live session. So we're gonna literally shut it down and come right back in a matter of, hopefully a couple minutes when we end this in a couple minutes. But let me just say this. Matter of fact, we might have to dig into this part. This will probably be the lot, because I was thinking we were going to go to Exodus chapter 39 and do some stuff. Holy Spirit said we're going to hold it down on here. So we'll actually continue this and do focus on this point that I'm going to leave you with today. And we record these, so you can go ahead and pick up the recording and actually tune into what I was saying, because it doesn't sound like the person who was making that statement was actually with us earlier, or they just trying to argue for the sake of argument. But I'm going to say this. Y'all cats don't protect women because you're effeminate. Let me say it again, because somebody need to tell you, somebody need to put it to you. Y'all cats is so effeminate that you wouldn't protect a woman. Stop telling me how masculine you are when all you can do is protect yourself. So in your culture, if that's what you do, a man protects only what belongs to him. I bet you protect your job, and that don't belong to you either. That belongs to a corporation. See, you got a capitalistic thought process, and for you, she's property because she's capital, and you only think about her because of what she can give you, and you don't think about the fact that you as a protector, not only as a protector, as a man should provide. What do you provide outside of foolishness? Y'all cats is effeminate. If you were more masculine, like you say, you would protect. That's what we're going to talk about in the live session. Thank you, Holy Spirit, because I really didn't know where we were headed tonight. Yeah, for real. They in competition with. A matter of fact, Sean, there's what is it, Kendrick? When he was talking to Drake in Euphoria, what did he say? When I see you next to Sexy Red, I believe I see two bad bees, right? He said, I don't believe you like women. It's real competition. You might pop with them. And that's what these cats sound like. When he was saying that, he wasn't even trying to be, the person took it as a joke, and it's funny what he was saying, but he wasn't really like joking the way we think. He was legit saying, like, Drake, you seem like you're more in competition with women than you are with actually like taking care of them. And a lot of y'all cats got that Drake said, you've been raised on Drake. Drake was the one that suckled y'all and nursed y'all. And he don't give a F about women either. You said women everywhere should be protected. That's a lot. So once again, I didn't say that. What I said specifically, see, you're so busy. So either you didn't hear it or you ignoring it. So let me be very clear with you. In my culture, we train wives from birth. You don't date in my culture. You train wives from birth, and you train husbands. By the time we hit adulthood, we already know what time it is. You have a dated mindset, which means that you get with somebody knowing that expiration is probably going to happen. I don't get with somebody as far as marriage is concerned unless I'm thinking about till death do us part. She must be qualified as a wife already, and I must be qualified as a husband already. If that is the case, we got a head start on a lot of y'all cats who are trying to defend a foolish thought process that is not even what I'm thinking on. So if you are coming with a Western sensibility, trying to holler at me on this, you've already messed up, because not only can you not empathize, you have gone into a debate not knowing how to debate the other side. I'm not painting with a broad brush. I'm very specific. You who have a broad brush are trying to tell me that I'm too specific. You got to get your argument together. You said train wives? Yes, we train wives and husbands from birth. Do you not get it? In other words, when my daughter is born, when my son is born, I make sure that I start getting them ready for the responsibility of one day being an adult, which includes being a father or a mother, and includes being a husband or a wife. And in my culture, when my son hits age 22, he gets his inheritance then. Kate takes over the family business. My daughter can have whatever business stuff it is, but we protect her still in the home. And then once the two become one, then they're allowed to be with each other, and we still look after them to make sure that they get a head start on life. Meanwhile, you're still trying your best to figure it out. You don't know anything about my culture, and you don't really know anything about my belief system. You're coming with a very Eurocentric thought process, and therefore you're losing a debate and looking foolish rather than actually listening long enough to at least empathize or see where I'm coming from. But once again, just like you do with women, you can't hear. You only listen to be able to try and win an argument. And that's why you ain't going nowhere with that type of thought process. You might get somebody to hold your hand, but you're definitely not going to build anything that's going to help communities to change and change the wickedness of the system that we're around. But that's not your goal, is it? Your goal is to win an argument rather than love persons better than you love yourself, if you even have that ability to. You probably don't, or at least on the same level, right? Because if you did, you could have at least started off with a basic human thing, which was saying hello, rather than being like, I'm going to tell this mofo why he ain't nothing. And how you doing, Trump for God? It's wild that you would come on and say blah, 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 right? When you as a Trumper should be somebody that thinks that marriage is very important to society. Oh, wait a minute. No, you support Trump. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but you support a dude that don't treat no women with respect and grabs them by the P word. Y'all cats came to the wrong place tonight. Matter of fact, what we're going to do, everybody who's over here on TikTok, thank you for being on. YouTube, we're going to keep it pushing. We're just going to stay in the same place that we're on. Just stay on the live session. We're not going to start over. We're just going to stay right where we are and keep it pushing, right? If you're on TikTok, we're going to move over to Kofi_42. So if you want to join us over there, feel free to. Thank you for being on this evening. We're going to switch over. If you're on YouTube, just stay on. We're going to continue to do what we do. All righty. And all you persons who are having this, get your energy up, because you're not making any sense, but you're not going to stop what we're saying. And we're going to focus now, instead of just the protection of women and stuff, tonight, we're going to shift over a little bit and start talking about why you cats are so effeminate that you can't, right? And who raised y'all to be so effeminate. You think that being masculine means you go to the gym, or it means that you can tell somebody that they're wrong, but you don't have the fortitude to be able to do what I do. See, watch this. I carry, I'm a foundation. My wife, my house is on my shoulders, and if the foundation has any cracks, then the house can't survive. So I'm so strong, and I'm getting stronger every day. But my goal is to become even stronger and become so strong as a foundation that the house or the family will be able to survive for generations to come, rather than just making sure that I can take care of myself and the house is leaning, and if somebody steps in it, they fall to the side, or if it rains, it's a flood in the house. Yeah, he is a woman hater. That being said, thank you for being on here. TikTok. Join us on Kofi_42. It'll be up in a couple minutes. YouTube, just stay where you are. We're going to stay on the same place. Thank y'all. Love y'all. If you join us on Kofi_42, we're going to continue the same conversation. Right? We're going to make a salah. Pause and think about it as we get Kofi_42 on TikTok ready to go. But yeah, y'all cats is something strange. Who raised y'all? Y'all punks out this piece. Dudes who find every reason not to see what, man. I don't even know if y'all can handle some basics, man. This is basic stuff, but y'all can't handle it. You too weak. You too weak for a woman. That's your issue. You done all this trash. You too weak for a woman. You too weak for a woman. You really are. You too weak. You can't make sure women are protected, but you talking about how masculine you are, man. Y'all weak. Weak-minded fools. Y'all them dudes on Star Wars where Obi-Wan would just wave his hand and tell y'all to do something and you would move. That's why Andrew Tate, he wave his hand and y'all mofos do stuff. Right? Kevin Samuel, and look, respect for the man and passing away and everything. But Kevin Samuel, wave his hand, y'all do whatever. Fresh and Fit, wave his hand, y'all do whatever. That dude who told y'all all the stuff about being this 6'4.5" black man and all that stuff, and then was sitting up there in a relationship, married, having a child with a white woman. And I don't even care if you do, but I'm saying he was all black and black and this and that, and had a white wife. She says whatever, does whatever. They were sitting up there having their babies, talking about, oh, which one does he gravitate to? You know, the baby outfit that says I'm proud to be black, and a baby outfit that says white. Cringe. y'all cats something else. Hey, I see you, double OG. Y'all cats weak minded, following all they do, they just wave their hands, and y'all so weak that they could just say just about anything and y'all will follow it. It's sad. It's sad what y'all have done to manhood, and there's no wonder these women don't. No wonder these women looking around here and looking pitiful because they got you their choices. No wonder a lot of them are talking about that they tired of straight men and stuff like that. That if you're their choice, you're their choice. Won't protect any woman, or only protect things that are your property. You have to be a slave owner in order to protect a woman. Man, that's sad. Yeah, man, no wonder these sisters don't want to be with y'all. Who raised y'all? I hate to be copying off my man, who got that show, on the left side or whatever from the DMV. But real talk, man, who raised y'all? You weak. You too weak for a woman. That's what your issue is. You too weak. Thank you, babe. You too weak. Matter of fact, no offense, no shade. I don't know if the person's still on or not. Kind of quiet now, but you might still be on. Question: my wife is on, right? Where is your wife? Have her come on and tell me why it's okay that you don't have to protect her. Can you have your wife come on? Or your wives, or your boo, or whatever. Have your wife come on and tell me why it is all right that you don't have to protect her. Right? When she come on and she says that this is why he don't have to protect me, then we had this conversation. If you do have a wife, I bet you she wouldn't come on and say that. How much you want to bet? And not no burner account. Right? It's foolishness. It's crazy. These dudes literally want us to believe. See, y'all weak. Y'all too weak for women. These dudes genuinely want us to believe that there's women out there who would just sit up there and let them treat them like trash, and that's supposed to be the norm. Meanwhile, I bet you they can't provide us any evidence of these women. Hey, how you doing, Mr. 2524? Yeah, long. I bet you they can't produce these women. Right? How you doing, Melissa? And everybody coming back over from the other live session too. If I'm missing you, it's because I know that you were on the other one. Appreciate y'all. Sorry if I didn't say your name. Right? Let these dudes, I want to see y'all dudes, y'all weak-minded, frail, some of y'all frail-bodied dudes. I want to see y'all dudes come on here and bring these wives, right, or these girls, or these dates, or whatever, and have them tell us why it's acceptable for you not to be their protector, or to only protect them if they are your property. And have them tell me. Have them tell me. My number is in the chat. Have them call me and tell me, right? Right? Have them call and tell me why it's all right that you don't protect them, or you don't think that you should protect them, or hey, they're their property, you only protect what belongs to you. That's where your mind is. You're weak, you frail. Yeah, I hear you jamming. I'm just saying, somebody do this. And if you don't know the background, basically, we just came. Some of y'all are coming on the live session now from the other one, or coming on, right? We just did. We did a little extra something to kick things off, or to finish kicking things off, whatever. And we were talking about protection of our women, and these cats is out here wilding, talking about, oh yeah, you this, and told me that I was in my feminine mode, or I'm effeminate or whatever. And I'm like, no, that's the problem. Holy Spirit showed me right there. Oh, y'all cats are so effeminate and so weak that you can't protect. Boom, like a light switch just hit. I'm thankful to the cats that be out here on some foolishness, because when on this garbage, because it finally hit me. I got it. Like, oh yeah, these dudes, Rasmel Chisadek or whatever, is on some foolishness, and by the way, look, if you're gonna use the term Melchizedek, that's supposed to be the order of the priesthood. That means that if Christ did it, you're supposed to do it. Christ is of the order of Melchizedek. Christ loved his wife, which is Israel, right? He loved his wife. And how you doing again, Big Brother Thomas? Christ loved his wife, right? To the point of dying for her and protecting her, and then being resurrected to therefore bring her with him to a mansion attached to his father's house. What y'all on? I believe that Yehoshua is the Messiah, right? But tonight, we focused on these weak cats out here who don't understand that protection of women is a commandment. How you gonna tell me you follow the commandments, but you don't believe you're supposed to protect your wife unless she's a slave? I'm just, can I be, this ain't even me angry. Somebody might think I'm angry. I'm not even on no angry stuff. I'm just keeping it a buck. Y'all might need to learn how to just shut up and not say nothing no more. If that's your mindset, no wonder these sisters feel like this. Like, it just finally hit me. Y'all dudes is weak. Watch this. I'm gonna tell you how strong as a husband you gotta be, especially nowadays, because there's so much foolishness that's happened to our wives, right? You ready? You said, how do you marry a whole country? Come on. Come on. Come on. It's the same thing as somebody says, you know what, I'm married to the United States. Come on. Get it together. Right? Yeah, that's you gotta come up. You gotta come up. If that was what you thought was gonna flip it. Hey, shalom, Sister Carla. You thought that was what you gonna do? Okay. But y'all dudes is weak. You're too weak to protect. I got it now. It was something that seemed to be too much, but I see it now. That's all you had to do. Matter of fact, you should have just said that. Yo, bruh, I don't have the strength. But like I was trying to get to, I don't think y'all cats comprehend how strong you got to be to reverse the curse. A lot of us know. Look, okay, there's a lot of brothers that were born without fathers and mothers, right? There's also a lot of women that were born without fathers and mothers, or even had fathers and mothers, but didn't have perfect fathers and mothers. Nobody did, really, right? But I'm just saying, stuff was not perfect. If you were going to be a husband that washes your wife, right, with water of the word and presents her unto yourself, blameless and upright, do you not realize that you got to be strong enough to deal with her pain? Come on, somebody. Like, let's make this live. Let's confess word rather than just saying random stuff. Do you not realize that you got to be strong enough to deal with her pain? You got to be strong enough to deal with the fact that maybe her father wasn't there growing up and she don't even know what a father is, and you got to be a spiritual father to step in. Maybe she didn't see what an example what a husband was or what a wife was, and she was able to just get by and be able to make it. And so now all of a sudden here you are trying to teach her something, and she don't even trust love or what Yah's love is, because Yah's love is different than the so-called love that she got from the world. I already told you the answer to my question, Win Kirkland. If you don't comprehend Hebrew, then you don't understand it. I was talking about Elohim. That's Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? You can get it together, or you can go ahead and leave. You're not my focus, and you're not in charge, right? See, y'all cats is weak. Or y'all cats be thinking that I'm weak, or that because I'm talking about protection of women, somehow that makes me weak. But y'all cats aren't strong enough. See, y'all think that Trump is strong because he is rich, not realizing every business Trump has had is gone into bankruptcy, but bankruptcy protects the rich. Chapter 7, chapter 11, it protects the rich. You don't have to give up stuff. 50 Cent was rich, got declared bankruptcy. It protects him. He didn't have to do what you think they're supposed to do, which is hard work and all that stuff and pay their bills and stuff. He didn't do any of it. Chapter 11, chapter 7, whatever. Right? But in the same manner, Trump don't have to take care of his wives. Because who cares, right? Because y'all think the president is something to behold and to be proud of. The presidency is something to look up to or whatever, right? In the same manner, y'all think that y'all trying to run out. Like I said, Andrew Tate, y'all are weak-minded cats. Y'all are that dude. Y'all are that stormtrooper that Obi-Wan Kenobi waved his hand and said, "Do this," and everybody did it. Andrew Tate, and you'll follow because you weak. Kevin Samuels, because you weak. These cats prey on y'all because you're weak. But somebody says, protect your wife, save your money, right? Sow into a community that loves each other, right? Build a business with her, do what you're supposed to do, raise them babies properly, but you're too weak. Yeah, babe. Yeah, these cats be talking so much trash about me and about my hair and about my look and stuff like that. It's interesting. They're the same ones, right? Not protecting women though. Sound like some weird stuff to me. See, even when we get into the biblical stuff, if we want to be honest, like I'm not trying to Joan, I'm not trying to play the dozens. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. Let's keep it a buck. You ready? If my appearance bothers you so much, and then at the same time you say you don't protect women, and you say that men are all this, and then are busy telling me as a man how I would look better for you, like, cum si, cum sa? Ça va? Right? No fun. You don't take care of your wife, but you ready to say something. I'm just saying, something little off. Are you okay? You got everything to say about me, but you can't protect a woman. May I ask something? And this is something that, depending on, usually I would do this on a one-on-one session or something like that, but I'm going to ask some of y'all cats this. Right? Outright. And I'm not even trying to be offensive, but it's going to be offensive to some. I admit, I know it's going to be offensive, but I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just being real. Was your mother terrible towards you? Is that why you hate women? You know, let me ask another question. You ready? Let me just ask another question. Quick question. Were you the dude who has never been able to get a woman, or is always looking for a certain type of woman, but you're not up to her standard, or you're not capable of pulling them? And so because you can't pull them, look, I used to be the nerd that couldn't pull them either. I'm not making fun of it. I'm just asking a genuine question. You couldn't get the woman that you wanted, the woman of your dreams, so you were always the person that was, in the friend zone and this and that or whatever, fairly or unfairly, right? And so you trying to turn into this super crafty, I'm gonna be rich and debonair, or I got rich man's energy, whatever that even is. Is that where you are? Hey Crow, how you doing? Right, and I'm Ashy, by the way. If anything, make fun of the Ash. But if you talking about pulling somebody, by the way, I don't even want to use. I'm using that term because that's what cats like you use. But my wife and I, we're together, strong, family, strong. We're gonna be together for a long time. Where's yours? Locks or not? You see, y'all cats are so busy talking about my looks and can't protect a woman. Something up with you. Something up with y'all cats. Something up with you. No, you couldn't buy my girl because my girl's not a hoe. But if you into buying hoes or whatever, maybe that's what you like. Now, you're not going to disrespect my wife. And dudes like, probably you're young, because y'all young cats be out here and all this stuff or whatever. But I promise you, right? And I'm not trying to say this because I'm 6'5.5", or I know different fighting styles, or I was in the military, blah blah. I promise you, you're not saying none of that to my face, or not in front of my wife's face. So cats like you, y'all cats is already trash. You trash. And your relationship must be trash if you're trying to go ahead and talk about you can buy my wife. You couldn't buy nothing. You can't buy respect. You can't buy nothing. I can tell by the way you talk, because cats that have money don't worry about buying other people's women. Dummy. Fool. Cats like you who say stuff like that but don't say it to people's faces. See, I'm one of them cats. Praise Yah for change, because I'm one of them cats that used to not talk and used to swing. And I know when somebody just be talking, especially nowadays when they don't ever have to see anybody, y'all cats is weak and frail anyways. And that you're the type of dude I'm talking about, where you're so weak that you would try to go ahead and say something to demean my wife, to make yourself look better, to make a point. But the reality is where are you at right now? What traveling are you having right now? You're too weak. I'm just saying, if y'all cats is on this stuff, you sound like you're too weak for women, because you sitting up there saying why you shouldn't protect a woman, but at the same time talking about how masculine you are. Then you call me a feminine because I protect women. You're weak. You're weak. That's you. You are weak-minded. That's right. The keyboard warriors. You weak, frail-minded fool. That's what you be. You're a weak, frail-minded individual, right? Anybody coming on here telling me telling me I'm effeminate because I'm telling you should protect your woman, you are weak, and you should shut up. Just straight up, you're weak and you should shut up. And if you genuinely are strong enough to talk to me like that, right, and you genuinely want to meet up and talk to me like that, I'm not that hard to find. I don't hide from none of this foolishness. You hide, and you hide behind keyboard, and you can't show your face because you're a weak, frail-minded individual that has no say and probably has never had a woman of value. Because if you did, you would understand that she's not worthy of being treated like a hoe and saying that you could own her. She's worthy of being treated like a wife, and she should have been a wife when you found her, and she should make you a better man, a better husband, a better father, a better individual, and somebody who's worthy of being thought of as being a great man because you can protect. Oh no! You can say I'm a little riled up. They talking about my wife, so I'm just gonna be honest with you. With my wife, that's a little different. I'm still not going to where I could go, right? Because cats be forgetting. They change this stuff up on YouTube. I can see you guys' information. You know that, right? Like if I really wanted to find you, there's a part of me that still wants to do that. Like there's the old Kofi that would have stopped the live session and tried to find you. You know what I'm saying? I've done that before, right? I'm not gonna do it, but I promise you, y'all cats is weak. You guys are weak. If you think that you're not supposed to defend your wife and protect your wife, something wrong with you. But that's what we were saying on the last, that's what we've been saying tonight. And that's what we're focusing on tonight. I see it now. You guys are so effeminate that you can't be masculine enough to protect anything. It's sad. It's sad, man. It's sad. Y'all cats is so effeminate that you can't protect your wife. It's sad. No wonder these sisters are in trouble. Yeah, they got the ninja fingers. They ready. Them ninjas got the ninja fingers. They ready to talk, and type. But none of them are brave enough to protect a woman. It's sad, man. It really is. He who loves his wife loves himself. What are we talking about? You said those sisters hate masculine men? Okay. All right. So every sister, every single one of them, hate masculine men. But your response is the woman was made for the man, which, by the way, is part of the word. We just use that part. We don't want to talk about submit yourselves one to another. You're going to use the author to say that, but you're not going to use the same author to say, submit yourselves one to another. You're not going to use the same author to say, um, present her unto yourself. You're not going to use the same author that says not submission, but submission. Submission means submit to the mission, and you got to have your mission together, which includes taking care of her. We can already tell what time you're on. And you know what? Watch this. Can I help you out? To the brothers? Because it's the brothers. Ain't no woman on here talking no trash like that. It's y'all brothers. Let me say something to y'all so-called brother. You're not really my brother. Y'all so-called masculine men, which are really just males who are little boys, teenagers in the head still. Let me help y'all with something. You ready? Because that's a teenage thought process. That's a very immature mindset to have, that y'all have towards this stuff where you're going to find every excuse to not protect a woman. Okay? Let me help you out with something. You will never be what the Most High wants you to be if you can't follow his commandments. And if he said, right, watch this. If in your mind you can't handle making sure that you wash a wife, see, it says he who finds a wife. You talking about, when you say sisters, what you even talking about? See, what we've been talking about is that a woman who is righteous, who's qualified as a wife already, because you should find her as a wife. You're not looking for wives. You're not looking for somebody to death do you part. You're not looking for the responsibility of that. Y'all cats can't handle that. You're like, hey, because I'm a man, she should bow down. She should basically be on her knees. That's what y'all are, and that's why you won't. You're struggling. If your whole thing is all women, all these sisters, I hear guys talk like that, and when you talk like that, yeah, it shows that you're not. You see, I'm not worried about. I'm gonna help you out. I'm married, right? I'm not worried about every single woman on the planet. I take care of my wife. That's first and foremost. I took it out of context. No. What did I take out of context? What scripture? So the scripture that says that you should submit yourselves one to another, Ephesians 5:21, that then comes right behind it, Ephesians 5:22, wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands, which submission, once again, is a different word than submission. You know that there actually are two, look it up etymology, right? There's two types of words, right? Submission. Sub, under, right? Submitted to, mission. And you should submit yourselves one to another as unto the Lord first. I read what you wrote. What you talking about? Or are you assuming that I was talking to you and not talking to somebody else? Let's see. Because I'm talking to a lot of. The woman was made to be a man, protected. Those sisters hate masculine men. Okay, I'm sorry. What did you mean when you said those sisters hate masculine men? Was I talking about a particular type of sister? Because I don't think I was talking about sisters that hate masculine men. You said the USA is the church? Oh no, yeah, you're definitely off. Where does your Bible say the USA is the church? And you know, when the Bible was originally written, the word church wasn't even in there. And if you know what's actually in the Bible, you recognize that the mixing of iron and clay is something we're supposed to be against, and that's the seventh head of the beast. Yeah, you definitely in the wrong place if that's what you're talking about. For somebody with a title, with a title like that under duress, I would think that you catch that. But you're probably like a Celtic Christian, or get like a Celtic version of Christianity, or something that's very pummeled, borrowing from a lot of Protestantism. Sounds very, very Greco-Roman, very Eurocentric, but it's not original. Oh, no. Watch this. I know as much as you believe that you have the right to tell me what it is or whatever, and you think that you can just go ahead and just label and give insults and stuff like that to me as far as what I don't have the ability to do. I promise you that you're not in charge of this, and you're proving that you're not on the level of debate skill to even do anything, because all you've done is come on here and say you're wrong, this, and you misuse scripture. You don't know what you're talking about. Tonight's one of those nights. If you wanted to smoke, man, I got a little bit of time for you tonight. Right? Y'all, tonight the theme, y'all is showing, proving the theme. You are weak, minded men. You're too weak for women. You're showing the theme. You're showing exactly what we're talking about tonight. Too weak for women. I'm literally just talking about protecting women, and you're so busy trying to tell me that, right? Like, first of all, you're arguing. I don't even realize think you're realizing this. Maybe you just came on a few seconds and you're lost. So let me help you, right? Because it's bad to interject yourself in the middle of a conversation without it knowing what the conversation's about. You ready? Men on here are coming on here trying to say why women are objects, they should be owned, they should be treated like hoes, harlots, women of the night, women of the street. And that's the only reason why you should protect them. So if you're going to use scripture to be on the side of that, then maybe you should get yourself together or realize what the conversation's about. That doesn't have anything to do with me. You said, where do you find a rib and you supposed to pay all the bills? Find a wife. What's the qualifications of a wife according to the word? Not according to the world, not according to the West, not according to your feelings. What is the qualification of a wife? When you find a wife, right? When you find, not just even Proverbs 18:22, which is a great scripture, but even Proverbs 18:21 and 22. So Proverbs 18:22 says, he who finds a wife finds something that is to buy or a righteous thing and obtain a favor from Adon, from the Lord, right? From Yehovah. Now go to verse before that. And really, you're supposed to read several verses before that in context, but at least go one verse before that in Proverbs chapter 18, verse 21, where it says, death and life is in the power of the tongue, and those that love it will eat the fruit thereof. You ready? So Proverbs 18:21 and Proverbs 18:22 together go like this, right? Basically, you put them together. If you find a wife, you find a wife who multiplies with what she says, but also knows how to speak against things that are negative and kill those things off so that you would be able to grow. And if you find a wife such as that, you have find somebody who helps you to obtain favor, not just from anybody, but from the Most High. Yes, I do. And if that's a problem for you, then you need to keep scrolling. These are these same guys that say women belong to them, don't want to do anything for her, including paying. And that's really, like I said, we weak. Y'all cats talking all this stuff or whatever. Rush this. What y'all? A lot of y'all can't take care of yourselves. Right? But you talking about taking care of a woman. You're not ready to have a conversation about taking care of women. Or a lot of y'all just don't want to take care of, you want somebody to take care of you, but you don't want to take care of them. And that's where you are. You're telling on yourself. Dirty water, what does that have to do with what I'm talking about as far as protecting women? Because ultimately, that's where we're really trying to start. And a lot of y'all don't want to even talk about that or speak on the fact that a lot of you are arguing protection of women. No wonder your women feel like y'all are trash. No wonder y'all women feel like they are trash. Like, yo, the conversation is women should be protected, and y'all cats is out here trying to say why they shouldn't be. I know casting pearls before swine. That's not exactly what I'm doing, but I get what you're saying, right? Ultimately, they're not going to be able to comprehend some of it. But I want to show y'all tonight. I want to show you. I'm not going to keep doing this every single night. And really, this is something that really is coming out of something we were doing for our sisters. And then on top of that, right now we're in a position to where we're showing that you should protect women. And you guys are helping me to teach, right? Because what you're showing, this is the stuff that everybody just says over and over and over again in the world. Physically, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, right? Security. Doesn't mean that there shouldn't be anything reciprocated, but we're talking about a different person. See, y'all hear when I say women, a lot of y'all talk about the women that y'all went to find in the bar, or you went to your church to find, or who were not trained on what wives are from the biblical perspective, or you're talking about something from a Eurocentric perspective, trying to mix iron with clay. You're talking about being romantic, which by the way means you're being Roman, not Israelite or Hebrew or kingdom minded, right? Like, you guys are having a different contextual conversation. Y'all cats literally are showing that what I'm saying is true. This is the reason why I even used to do when we had the live sessions and would be a thousand persons on at the same time and all that stuff, and we'd have 40,000 persons on. We were at that height before they kind of started squashing us down a lot. This is stuff that I used to try and tell persons all the time, man. Like, you guys literally keep showing what I'm talking about. You guys keep showing what I'm talking about. You guys make it easy to teach this stuff because all I got to do is literally show what you're saying, or say or repeat what you're saying, and then show why it's not even correct. How you doing, Sister Tuckwa? Well, even that word weaker, part of the definition of the word weaker means precious, right? Like if you have an antique, it's precious. Might even be weak. You have an expensive vase, you might consider it to be weak, but it's precious. It's expensive. You protect it more than you do other items. Not because the other items don't matter, but because that item, because of how valuable it is, and how precious it is, and how weak it is, it's something that's necessary to be protected. So you go out of your way to make sure that if it falls, you'll try to catch that before, shoot, you got an antique vase, you'll try to catch that before you try to catch your phone. You'll try to catch that before you try to catch your water, right? You'll try to catch that before you try to catch a whole bunch of things because it's valuable. You said it's all about Proverbs 31 woman until you bring out how all before that talks about a man. Well, actually, if you're talking about that, number one, if we get the book of Proverbs, right, which is really not a whole entire book exactly, but we're talking about these proverbs, and a lot of them are supposed to be read contextually. They're not supposed to be necessarily read separate. But if you're looking at even the book of Proverbs, right, the book of Proverbs is literally Solomon talking about his father and his mother teaching him righteousness. That's Proverbs 1. They're talking about how wisdom, who he refers to as a she, right? Because in Hebrew, wisdom would be referred to as she, right? The spirit of wisdom connected to Ravak HaKodash, or Holy Spirit, that also in Hebrew is referred to as she or as feminine, right? Not a female, feminine. And he talks about these things and talks about all these different things that are going on. And then when you get to Proverbs 31, we always start at verse 10. But if you start at verse 1, and read verses 1 through 9, this is actually a story that Solomon would have heard from his father David. And David would have told him a story about a Malakhe, or female royalty, whose husband had passed away, and her son is up next for the throne. And she starts talking about as a king, as Malakhe, he's going to have to be great at this and great at this and great at this. He's going to have to rule like this and blah, blah. And he's going to need a wife, right? A wife, not a woman, but a wife, because there's a difference in the culture. A wife who is able to help him and multiply him in many different ways and protect him in many different ways and speak well of him and make his name great. And then where we usually start is verse 10, which is where she says, who can find such a virtuous woman, right? That word virtuous, or virtus, by the way, speaking to who can find one who can represent. That's what virtue actually means, virtus, right? Virtue. So she says, who can find such a wife who could represent a king? That's what she's actually talking about. That's the context. And then the rest of the verses start talking about how she is great, how she has her own business, how she has a great reputation, how she makes her name known, how she makes clothes, how she can cook, how she can do all that. And by the way, a wife doesn't have to be able to do all those things. This is like the best of the best of the best of the best of the best. This is like if you found perfect, everything was straight, blah, blah. Like, and we talking about a specific wife to rule a nation, right? You see? You said I have to add the second part of comment with the first? Yeah, I'm with you. I'm just saying. No. So what I'm saying is that a lot of cats don't even know. Yeah, Proverbs, by the time you get to Proverbs 31, there's a whole lot of context. What I'm saying is even the verses 1 through 9, a lot of persons start with Proverbs 31. They start at Proverbs 31:10. Proverbs 31:10 is where we just start. It starts with who can find such a virtuous woman, right? At least the version that's written in English, that's what it says. But, but if you start at verses 1 through 9, you'll discover that this is actually a story of a wife, right, who has lost her husband. Her son is now about to be on the throne. And as a wife who helped her husband rule, she's telling her son who's about to rule, this is what you need, baby boy, if you're going to rule the kingdom. You got to have a wife, and she's got to be like this. You would think it's common sense. But we have a whole bunch of persons arguing it. But that's why I say it's kingdom sense, not common sense. You would think that this is not a deep thing, and it's not for those of us that this is not a mystery, because we speak concerning Christ and the assembly. Hello, James. How you doing? Right? So yeah. So that's what I'm saying. But yeah. So this tonight, it just further proves, man. I'm just keeping it a buck. A lot of y'all cats, I see it now, and I'm not trying to come at any individual. Once again, we've been on for almost a couple hours now. All right. So I'm not coming at any specific person. I'm just saying a lot of these cats have been coming on arguing against protecting your wives. I see it now. You're too weak for women. Because yeah, you got to be strong enough. You got to be strong enough to be able to take stuff sometimes from a wife or from a woman or et cetera, and you didn't even do the stuff that is being said or whatever. Guess what? You still got to make sure the house runs. Are you strong enough for that? Are you strong enough when she is in tatters because something's happened in her family? Are you strong enough to be by her side and make sure that she ain't got to wear? Are you strong enough to where if your wife, like I'm gonna help y'all with something, brothers and sisters. If you've never heard me say this before, I try to say this 3 times in a row because I get it, because of patriarchal society that's very Eurocentric. You guys probably think I'm going somewhere different than what I'm about to say. But if you allow me to finish saying what I'm about to say, feel free. Right? Feel free to just listen. Listen to me say. I'm gonna say it thrice. I'm gonna say it 3 times. So prayerfully, you guys allow it to be said each time, or at least once, in your hearing. So you'll be like, oh, okay, he's not saying what I think he said, because I know where a lot of persons will assume where I'm headed with what I'm about to say. Okay, I'm gonna say it 3 times just to make sure that everybody catches it. Okay. All right. So first time. Okay, you ready? First time. All right. There is not a woman. I'm gonna say this very clear, and there's a lot of women on here. Y'all can tell me if I'm wrong. I've never heard one woman, even women who don't like me and they have argued with me, I've never heard a woman argue against this point. There's not a woman that the Most High has ever created. This is gonna sound like a bold statement, and it is. It's a true statement though. There's not one woman that Yah has ever created that has ever wanted to have a job. Some of y'all sisters who've heard me say that before, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it 2 more times. Don't assume what I mean or where I'm going. Hear the statement. I'm gonna say it a second time. You ready? There is not a woman that Yah has ever created, that's ever existed, that wants to have a job. Okay? I hope you're listening. I'm gonna say it again. Okay? I'm not saying that she can't work. I'm not saying she can't have a business. I'm not saying she's not smart. Hear what I'm saying? I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it for the people in the back. There is not a woman who has ever been created, that has ever existed, that wants to have a job. Doesn't mean that she won't have a job. Doesn't mean that she won't start a business. Doesn't mean she can't find her work. Doesn't mean that she can't make money. Doesn't mean she can't make more money than you. Hear what I'm saying? I'm gonna say it, number 4. There's not a woman that wants to have a job. Why do you think that is? Because once again, out of the 6 basic human needs, a woman's number 1 need is what? Security. Right? Or protection. Security/protection, same thing. And then number 2 is affection. If you would love your wife, give her affection, and you would make sure that she's secure, I promise you a whole bunch of stuff will get in line. Matter of fact, it runs so deep. There are brothers, see, watch this. I'm not trying to say that this is correct. I'm just giving you an example. And thanks for being part of the community, Shay. I'm just giving an example. I'm not trying to say that what I'm about to say is correct. I'm trying to give you an example of how deeply ingrained this is, okay? There are men who are physically abusive to their wives, but their wives are so secure that they will still try to hang around. Because security means that much to a wife. Now, I'm not saying give an excuse. I'm just trying to tell you that that's how important it is. That a woman will forego a whole bunch of foolishness. There are wives, watch how important affection is. Affection. There are wives who are treated so well by their husbands that even though their husband can't provide, they'll keep giving him every chance to get himself in order. Or she'll stay with them, and then you'll be like, why are you with him? And you'll think he's not as great, and he blah, blah. And she'll say, he makes me laugh. He makes me smile. He makes me feel great, because affection means that much to her. Mess around and give her both of them jokers. Mess around and give your wife security and affection. Right? It's some of y'all men, look, number one need for a man is to be heard or to feel respected. Number two need for, usually, we're talking about 6 basic human needs, that way of looking at it. Number two for a man is sex. There be men talking about, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough that. When we do such, you and blah, blah. I promise you, make your wife feel secure and give her affection and do it as if it's the greatest joy, or at least do it to the best of your ability, and watch and see if your wife doesn't start to at least show you some kind of respect and doesn't give you what you say you need, etc. I'm gonna say that part, gingerly. And yet, all these jokers out here, watch this. When you say you don't want to protect your wife, what you're in essence saying is, not only will I not give you security, you're number one, but when I tell you that you don't deserve the security, then I'm telling you that I don't even care about giving you number two, which is giving you the affection. At least this ain't holy, but let me say it like this. I would at least have more respect for you if you lied affectionately and pretended that she deserves security. So would she. But y'all don't even give her that. I mean, who raised y'all for real? Like, y'all don't even lie. Like, okay, I guess you shouldn't lie. Praise y'all, you not lying, because at least they can know who you are. But dang, it used to be something where at least, I'm gonna at least go on the first date and pretend. For those of y'all who date, y'all used to at least pretend like you were gonna give security and at least gave affection on the first date. Now you're like, I'm not even gonna treat you with respect, and I'm gonna tell you that I'm not gonna give you security. No wonder y'all weak-minded. Brothers, if this is, or whoever y'all cats is, because y'all ain't my brother speaking like that. Who raised y'all fools? Y'all are the most effeminate males I've ever seen. You think just because you got muscles on you, you can't be effeminate. Or just because you got something swinging, and you call me effeminate because I'm strong enough to defend and protect. Something's up. Something's up with y'all. Something's up with y'all. And also, too, that's why we said spiritually, emotionally, physically, right? I love that. Because, yes, as a husband, you should pray for your wife. That's protection as well. And as a husband, you should know the word. That's protection as well. And as a husband, you should walk in the kingdom. That's protection as well. Watch this. Anytime. We were going to talk about this, so let me praise y'all for this. If you get a chance to read, I believe it's Exodus chapter 39. I could be off, but I believe it's Exodus chapter 39, like the last 3-4 verses, something like that. It starts off by saying, all of Israel did exactly what the Most High did, and because they did what the Most High said, Moses blessed them. Right? I need you to recognize the power dynamic the way it should be versus what a lot of persons think. It says all of Israel did what the Most High said, and because of that, Moses blessed them. I need you, some of y'all missing this in the context of what we're talking about. If I do everything the Bible says do, the Most High Barak, he blesses me. If he gives me his daughter as my bride, and I follow the law concerning his daughter, then he will bless me. You said, what's wrong? What's wrong, sunshine? What's wrong? That you shouldn't protect your wife? What's wrong? That you shouldn't do what the word says? What's wrong? What's wrong? See, to be honest, what's wrong with y'all? If y'all think that that's wrong, how you doing? Just be nice. Thanks for being part of the community. If I do what the word says, then that's when I get the reward. If you would take care of your wife, whatever you sow, that also shall you reap. Once again, y'all cats are weak and lazy. Won't till the ground, won't drop no seed, won't water it, won't put minerals in the ground, won't protect the crop, right? Won't make sure that the animals that are taking care of the crop. There's work in producing, but you don't want to make no moves and produce. You said, which states that the Israelites completed all the work of the tabernacle exactly as the Lord commanded Moses, and upon inspecting the finished work, Moses blessed them. Yes, in its entirety. So once again, starting at Exodus chapter 39, about the last 3 verses or so, right? I said, in the context that we're speaking of, a lot of y'all aren't catching it. You ready? In the context we're speaking about concerning marriage, a lot of you aren't catching it. So yes, Israel did everything according to having the temple there, wearing the correct stuff, making sure the cords were in place, making sure certain things were cleansed in this way, etc., etc. And because of that, Moses now was allowed to bless them. All right. So even if we're not talking about building that temple, although do you not know that you're the temple? But maybe you don't like that part of scripture. So let's just go ahead and do it like this. If we're talking about concerning wives, if the Most High tells me to do something and I do it the way he says do it, should I be blessed? You see, we got to figure out a way to make sure that the message of protecting women is somehow, some way taken away. To be like, oh, I ain't like that because you're trying to lie. He's talking about the temple and he's talking about this. Okay, I get that. So in the same manner, how about that? If I make sure that I take care of my wife, will the Most High make sure he takes care of me? You see, we're arguing something to try and be against the Most High ultimately, because the Most High keeps telling us, do what I say do. And if I follow, watch this. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through 14. If you hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim diligently, to do all that you been commanded this yom, this period of time, it doesn't mean this physical day, this period of time that we've been in the wilderness, this yom, right? Which means this means a period of time. Then I will set thee on high, and I will put you above all nations, but only if you hearken or shema, listen, or hear and diligently, right? Listen diligently unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim to do what he's commanded you to do. Only if you do that. If you do what he tells you to do, here comes barak, here comes the blessing. Deuteronomy is for Israelites. Deuteronomy is for anybody who follows the word. Deuteronomy, even in the Latin or the Greek, Deuteronomy literally do means the second law. Latin, Deuteronomy, the second law. In other words, it's reiterated, right? That's not the Hebrew word. Deuteronomy is not Hebrew, but it's talking about it's the second time we're going through the law. In other words, Moses is repeating the stuff and reminding them of everything that happened and all the commandments, right? So if you're not supposed to follow them and it's only for Israelites, which by the way, if you don't know Genesis 28, Israel is where heaven meets earth. Go read your Bible, do some research. So anybody who has the kingdom of heaven in them and is grafted into the tree of the family of Israel, according to Paul in Romans chapter 11, right? Romans chapter 11, should we go ahead and deny Israel? Elohim forbid. Revelation chapter 7, who are we talking about? Who must be sealed, and then others who are grafted can come in, right? We're talking about a particular people, a particular family, and anybody who's part of that family can get into Revelation chapter 21, 22. That's Israel, kingdom, right? Read Genesis 28, read what Jacob says, and by the way, not one jot or tittle should in any wise pass until heaven and earth passes away. Has heaven and earth passed away yet, and the new heaven and new earth come into being yet? Right? And guess who said that? The Messiah. Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 through 20. By the way, focus on verse 19 and verse 20, where it says that those who teach against the law and preach against the law and don't live with the law, as far as the kingdom is concerned, they are the least. But those who teach the law and preach the law, they are considered to be the greatest. And verse 20 says you should know the law greater than the scribes and the Pharisees. But once again, we're trying to do everything we can to get off track because we don't want to honor where it says, make sure you protect your wife, protect your women, because a lot of you are weak-minded. You said Jesus failed? Okay, I don't worship Jesus. And if he failed, you got to know Psalm 22 refers to him too. Read Psalm 22, says what it says. Say what it says. If you know how Psalm 22 starts, right? Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani Adonai. If you know what that's saying, then make sure that you see how he failed. Psalm 22 tells you about him. Right? You got to be holistic with it, not just a little piece. Okay? Go through Psalm 22. You said Jesus said, once again, you keep bringing up Jesus. Jesus is half man, half Zeus. Jesus is a whitewashed version, a very Eurocentric and romanticized version of mixing iron and clay to be able to put something together. And the same person that you said don't worship him, he actually didn't have a problem. He had a problem when persons worshiped him in the flesh. If you don't believe so, there's 10 persons that are healed of leprosy. Only 2 had enough sense to turn around and come back to him. And they start to worship him. He doesn't deny their worship. He says, where are the other 8? But when you study, you'll discover it's kind of like the same thing. See, once again, we don't want to talk about culture. We just talk about some stuff through a Eurocentric prism. We're trying to use Eurocentricity to argue what I'm talking about. If you actually look through the actual, Avra-centric, Ivrit, Avra-centric, stuff that you're supposed to, and the way that they looked at it. For example, you know what? I'm not even gonna go through that. We're getting off track now. You believe what you want to believe. You have every right to, so do I. All right? But persons don't want to talk about this. Persons don't want to talk about like the reality of, of what Yah has and what he wants us to do. We'll find any excuse, even using the word, to try and figure out why it's okay not to protect women. That's ultimately what I'm trying to get across. And you're helping me to get that across. Are you not seeing that? That literally anything you can use. I want to make sure everybody knows that chapter is talking about the temple. What does it have to do with the end of the chapter that says follow the law? And if you follow the law exactly, then he'll like, what does it have to do? Like, literally, if you follow the law exactly, then you'll be blessed. What does that have to do with not protecting women? You see what I'm saying? We're literally grasping at straws. Now we're trying to use the Bible itself to figure out how to stay away from the ultimate goal at hand, which is to protect women. And you know why? Because it's not your goal. That's why. Your goal is not to make a great nation. Your goal is to act a daggone fool by yourself. And you should do so. You hear what I'm saying? Like, cats are trying to figure out every single place. Every single place. And he can't have denied them. That's crazy. Because if he denied Elijah, then Elijah can't be in the transfiguration. And it's not even talking about Elijah there. John chapter 1, verse 4 and 5. It's not even talking about, the context is Christ and Yachanan, or Yakunan, as some of you say. That's who it's talking about. Chapter 1, that's who it's about. There was the light, right? There was Barashat in beginning, right? That's chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. And then verse 4, there was somebody and Yahshua is also known as the light. There was one who came to bear witness of the light. He himself was not the light, but came to bear witness. That's the two we're talking about. And the light, right? The word became flesh and dwelt amongst us, the Zara. And in all that, though, you're still trying to figure out, how can I take away from protecting women, right? That's why these women are done with you. And for real, thankfully, praise Yah, tonight, so am I. Because y'all cats weak. anything I can do to make sure that I don't protect women, I will make sure. It's wild. I will go as many verses as possible to try and tell you what. Now I've got to argue who the Messiah is. Matter of fact, he's not even the Messiah. You're worshiping Jesus. I don't worship Jesus. Well, we're going to argue over other semantics, not even realizing that you don't even know what I mean by saying I don't worship Jesus. And you're still arguing it because you can't just get with the theme for the night is women should be protected. Okay, do what you need to do. There's other days that we actually do Q&A. Matter of fact, on Thursday and Friday, if y'all got time in the rising, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. New York time, feel free to come on here. We'll go chapter by chapter, verse by verse, layer by layer, right? And we'll do all that. But right now, we're talking about trying to protect women, and you can't do it. It's not in you. It's not in you. I'm scared of the truth? No. I stand it on truth. Y'all cats is crazy. And if you actually want to genuinely know what I had to say about those things, I've made hundreds, if not thousands, but for real, definitely thousands of videos by now. You can literally just look it up. But you're not that concerned about looking it up. Right? You could literally look up what I already say about that stuff, and then you could literally put in the chat or my number there. You could then look it up, call me, and be like, I looked at what you said. Let's rap about it. And matter of fact, if it's something decent and we actually could do stuff decent in an order, maybe you could come on and talk about it yourself. That's not what you want to do, though. You're trying to do whatever with the argument. It's over, though. Yeah, that's right. So why listen to you? You done, right? Calling me a fool doesn't mean you win an argument, by the way. That's stupid. I don't want to call you stupid, but that's stupid. That's a stupid mindset. But once again, just being honest, you see this? I wanted to show you. Literally, I've tried my best to talk about protection of our women. And what happened the whole night is cats came on here to tell you why we shouldn't protect them. That should tell you a lot about the situation these women are in. So it's like saying your mama, right? Exactly. So y'all cats is weird. Until I started talking about, like, here's the wild part. You ready? Until I started talking about protecting women, none of y'all had anything to say about how I didn't know the word. But when I started talking about protecting women, now all of a sudden, y'all cats got everything to say about me not knowing the word. Right? You got to search yourself for that. You got to see what's going on the inside of you for that. Real talk. All this conversation we could have been had. Right? All this time I was on, and then when I start saying yo, and I start judging y'all by the same word you telling me you judging me by, and I'm like, the word says protect women, this and that, and now you got to say, oh, you don't know nothing about the Messiah. Something crazy with that. Yeah, okay. Malachi chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Right? By the way, Malachi chapter 4, verse 5 doesn't say Elijah's coming. It doesn't even use Elijah by name. Right? Malachi chapter 4, verse 6 is where it says that we got to get back. Basically, Malachi chapter 4 talks about getting back to the law of Moses. Malachi chapter 1 tells us that the whole thing of Malachi, actually, it's not even called the book of Malachi. Malachi chapter 1, verse 1 tells you the actual name. It is the burden of the word of Yahweh given to Malachi, or written by Malachi. That's the actual name of the text, right? And Malachi chapter 1 tells us that literally the Most High is saying that he loves us and he hated Esau, and we keep going back and forth with him through the whole rest of the scroll, right? Where the prophet keeps saying, the Most High loves us. We say, no, he doesn't. The Most High loves us. No, he doesn't. The Most High says you need to be better. Why do we need to be better? The Most High says you need to give tithes and offering. Can a man rob Yah? Right? That's the whole thing. Then we get to Malachi chapter 4. It talks about getting back to the law of Moses. We've strayed away from it, right? Trying to do our own thing. And then Malachi chapter 4, verse 6 actually says that we better make sure that the hearts of the fathers return to the children and the hearts of the children return to their fathers. If not, he will smite our land with a curse. He will curse our land. He will curse us. It doesn't say anything about Elijah there. Now, it does mention, though, what's going to happen with John when John baptizes Yechashphai, right? The Messiah. It does talk about that, him making the way straight in Malachi chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. But y'all catch us so focused on this Elijah thing, but Elijah's not mentioned by name at all. See, once again, you think you're just dealing with some random cat. But all that being said, your goal is to take away from protection of women, right? Oh, now you said Malachi chapter 4, verse 5. Okay, my fault. I thought you, no. Malachi chapter 4, verse 5, it mentions, okay, I'm sorry, it mentions Elijah is going to be John the Baptist. I might have said that wrong. It says that, or it mentions that Elijah is going to be the one to come back, or then so we can make sure that was it John chapter 1, verse 21 is somehow not mentioning Elijah. You guys are on some stuff. It's not the truth. But once again, all that, I'm done. I promise I'm done. All that only came up, right, to argue. And once again, question, does the Bible, see, watch this. I'm done with pretending like y'all cats are actually in charge of anything. You all right? You guys won't do me this solid, so I'm not doing you no favors either. You ready? What does your Bible say? You need me to get away from everything I'm saying? Let's end on this. Let's stand on business. 10 toes down. You ready? What does your Bible say? What does your Torah say? Your Tanakh say specifically concerning protecting women? Should our women be protected or should they not? That was today's conversation. And instead, you don't have nothing to say about that. You know why? Because the truth is not in you. You are the liar. You are straw man and gaslighting to the extent where you won't admit that you can't just simply be like, hey, even in that, if that's an argument, we could have an argument any other time. But your responsibility is like, hey, I'm going to make sure that I take over a thing because I'm not going to protect a woman. And if that's where you at, just say, I don't like women and shut up. It's not that difficult, man. Like that's wow. See what I'm saying? It's gaslighting at its finest. I would say straw man. It's not even technically straw man. It's gaslighting at its finest. You're trying to turn it into a straw man argument, but it's not even part of my argument. My argument, what I was displaying to you was saying, hey, we should make sure that we take care of our women. And instead, you guys had to try to say that I don't know anything about the Bible. So, last question, which none of y'all can answer, none of you will answer because none of you have any scriptural reference for it. Show me where the Bible says you shouldn't protect a wife, right? Not just a wife in the world, but a kingdom wife, one who's doing what she's supposed to do. Should she be protected or not? Right? Y'all cats never answer that stuff because you hate women. Just shut up and say you hate women. Right? Next time you talk, say I hate women. And then that's cool. And here's the wild part, Israelite. I'm talking about Israelite women. We're supposed to love our sisters, our Israelite sisters. Do you know that we as men, if we were going to war, we would have fought for the nation, including women? All right, man, I'm done. No, I said specifically, show me a scripture. See, y'all on some stuff. I'm done with pretending that y'all trying to actually help. I'm done with pretending, y'all cats. Yeah, you're done. Yeah, I am. You're a fool, man. All the stuff that you want to talk about, knowing the Most High is the beginning of all wisdom. The Most High made our women, and He asked for us to protect them. And you don't want to protect them. Therefore, you're a fool. Acham Yechava. You're a fool. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They talking about being Israelites and stuff like that. Simeon and Levi was wrecked shop, and they didn't do exactly what they were supposed to do, but they wrecked shop. They were willing to off a whole city over their sister. And here it is, you talking about how clean and how awesome and how great you are, and you don't want to bring up any scriptures to defend women. Matter of fact, you'd rather bring down the Messiah and say the Messiah is not real, so we don't have to worry about taking care of women. Stop. Stop. Oh man, look, man, righteous indignation. If it wasn't righteous, I promise you, man, y'all just get cussed out tonight. If I had this thing in me that y'all swear, this evil in me that y'all swear that I actually am or whatever, y'all would just get cussed out tonight because y'all on some stuff. I don't know where y'all get this stuff from, but if you coming on here acting like I'm supposed to be okay with dudes who are so anti-women that they want to destroy the Messiah to make sure they don't have to obey the word and protect our wives, y'all can go wherever. Y'all just I mean y'all do what y'all got to do. And I'm praying for your daughters if you have them, because if they learning from fathers such as yourself. I'm praying for your wives if you have them. Matter of fact, I'm praying for your wives. I'm thankful to the Most High if they're actually kingdom wives, that He would allow you to have them, because you definitely don't deserve them. You definitely don't know how to keep them, which means that you be less than an infidel. Infidels trying to teach me about the word. You're not ready. So, anyways, I hope this proves to those who have ears to hear. I hope this shows you there are many persons who would rather disintegrate even who the Most High is, or disintegrate the kingdom, disintegrate Israel, make sure we don't even become a nation. Because how do you become a nation without your woman? They'd rather do that, right? They'd rather do that than just simply protect women. And sisters, we got to be better. At SOC, we'll continue to teach and be better. And to you all that's going through that stuff, my apologies. I'm sad for you. But I'm praying for you. Love you all. And wanted to show a couple things tonight that defensive women is important. Wanted to also show you how wild it is when a person says, so for those who were saying earlier, you're not even a woman. Especially it was like a couple men that said there earlier, you're not even a woman. All right. You guys proved, you literally said, I don't care about securing women and I don't care about affection for them. You proved the point. So for those of us who are trying to build solid societies, making sure that we're eating, making sure that we're coming together, making sure our children are taught different, making sure that our wives are respected, making sure that our mothers and our sisters get what's due to them, we salute you. And hopefully you got something, and we'll continue to do our best and strive our best to be better and greater every day in that. For those of you who disagree with that to the point to where you had to try and pull up every single random scripture out of your what, just to get us to not, right? I don't think you help. I just want to say this. You helped. I thank you. I do thank you, because you helped me to prove the point that women deserve protection. You helped me to prove the point that y'all are so against women being protected that will burn down anything that protects them. Right? Y'all are like the cats in who keep telling everybody, stop talking about Tulsa. Tulsa, you guys should bring yourselves up. Tulsa was a long time ago, but you keep burning down Tulsa every time they rebuild. Here these sisters are trying to rebuild and trying to grow, and actually we're getting closer to what the word says, and you want to burn down Israel so that you can say that you don't have to protect women. Sisters, I pray for you, and we're here for you as best as we can. And those that are real ones and real men step up and do what they're supposed to do in that, I salute you. And once again, for y'all cats who want to go ahead and do the thing where you're thinking that you cover to somebody who has no clue about the verses that you're saying, or can't use, the Tanakh or the Bible, which, by the way, is interesting. You would use Matthew chapter 11, but you don't believe in the Messiah. It's wild. But anyways, for those of you who think that stuff is, I'm not able to do that, your time can come on Thursday and Friday. Feel free to come in, or feel free to text the 202 number in the chat, email, and make your questions known, or make your comments known, and tell me all the stuff that you need me to read to show how I'm wrong, and then we'll be ready on Thursday and Friday. But yeah, you're not in charge, and I'm not going to stop everything I'm doing just to make sure that cats who don't even believe they should protect women should all of a sudden be able to take over a live session. You got your chance to say anything, and yet all you do is prove that you hate women. So, sisters, we love you. Brothers and sisters, I love you. Those of you who don't think that you should protect women, you're not my brother anyways. And I hope that you guys appreciate you. Appreciate you all on all the platforms. And once again, I know some of y'all caught strays. I apologize. There was so much craziness coming on, especially on YouTube tonight. There was so much craziness coming on. It was hard to even keep up. So I hope that you guys comprehend and understand that it was not my intention to come at anybody. And if I misread something or was trying to come back and forth or whatever the case might be, I apologize. That's my bad for not being able to see. I'm not the Most High. That being said, love you all. We give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Maya. We give our praise and honor to Him for each and every one of you. To the ministerial staff, moderators, live down there, everybody, SOC family, those who are listening for the first time, one time, many of you agreed, disagreed. We hope that everything's there. We're pulling for you to get into Amat, into truth. And until next time I have a chance to be before you again, as always, remember, beloved, that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in this system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, peace, and blessing. Barakat shalom to you, and we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you again.